Unhinged comes to us from director Derrick Borte and stars Russell Crowe as the Man, a deranged psychopath who chases a mother and her teenage son around New Orleans in his pickup truck. The mother, Rachel, has recently been through a divorce and gained custody of her son Kyle, but none of that is really all that important to the film, and certainly isn't what people are showing up to see. One day on their way to Kyle's school, Rachel beeps at a driver stopped at a green light, hoping the driver would notice and start driving. Unfortunately for Rachel and Kyle, they just happen to irritate the wrong person, who happens to have a history of domestic and road rage violence, leading to an intense and violent chase around New Orleans. Unhinged is a pretty simple film. It's a road rage thriller, with Russell Crowe essentially acting as a slasher movie villain. His character is built up as this unstoppable malevolent force, without a whole lot of attention given to any backstory or effort to flesh him out beyond being a crazy road rage driver. And for a movie like Unhinged, that kind of character is fine, as long as just enough mystery and intrigue is built around them. After all, this movie is essentially Halloween in a car. Honestly, you could call Russell Crowe's character Michael Myers, and I don't think anyone would really notice all that much. And I think that's key if you're planning to see Unhinged, because while it has the drive of a 90s Steven Seagal or Nicolas Cage action thriller, at the core of Unhinged is a slasher movie, with unwilling bystanders and minor supporting characters getting caught amongst the chaos, and ultimately existing for Russell Crowe's body count in the film. Because to be quite honest, Russell Crowe does a pretty decent job as this imposing force. There are a number of times in the movie where Crowe's accent changes, and while you could pinpoint this to him giving an inconsistent performance, particularly with how goofy Russell Crowe's voice can be in the film, it's clear the choice was made to highlight the character's unstable behavior. Thankfully, Unhinged does a pretty solid job at ramping up the tension and keeping you engaged in the thrill ride, with the action and chase sequences actually being quite well shot and edited together. I could actually see what was happening, as cars or people would get caught in the violent carnage. This is far from an Olivia Megaton disaster, and I found myself often gasping at some of the crashes that Derrick Borte gets away with. For a movie that takes place primarily with people driving around in cars, Borte does a great job in keeping the story moving without being too preoccupied or bogged down with unnecessary story elements. Caren Pistorius as Rachel surprisingly does a solid job with the material that she's given, with her often making the most out of lines that are purely expository to keep the audience up to speed on what's happening, but completely delivering on the movie's one-liners, especially the final crowd-pleasing one. Unfortunately, most of the supporting characters are quite thinly developed, with most interactions between them and Rachel really just being used to set up a kill or sequence with Russell Crowe. Any story elements about Rachel going through a divorce and having work-related problems are mainly just fluff and used as crutches for the audience to get behind her. But in a 90-minute film where a crazed psychopath is chasing someone in a car, I think any more time spent on any backstory or exposition would just drag the film down considerably, turning it into a slog to get through. Ultimately, Unhinged is a fairly lean, fast-paced road rage thriller that at its core is essentially a slasher movie, and ends up being pretty entertaining. Although Unhinged definitely won't be for everyone, Russell Crowe proves to be a menacing and unrelenting villain that does the job of being Michael Myers in a pickup truck. If you're looking for a quick thrill ride with some solid car chases, I think you'll have a decent time with Unhinged. Unhinged gets a 6.5 out of 10 from me. Guys, I hope you like this review. If you want to see more reviews just like this one, stay right here for your mono fix. Bye guys.